Many anime fail to tell a complete and concise story in less than 24 episodes. Usually the stories get turned into commercials for the source material, or put on hold for a second season to air and possibly continue the series. One series stands above the rest, telling a relatable and extremely depressing story in only 11 episodes. Okay, there's a movie too, but you don't really need to watch it for the story to hit home. There's been a load of anime that are all after the same reaction from you, to make you bawl your eyes out crying. Whether that be from Clannad, Plastic Memories, Angel Beats, Your Lie in April, or something else. They all share the same theme in common with Anohana, the loss of someone extremely close to you. Anohana showcases not only how the death of a girl named Menma affects our protagonist Jinta, but all the friends they shared while Menma was alive. Other shows do touch on this, especially my favorite of these dramas, Clannad, which made me cry like a little baby, but the effect of those around Menma is the centerpiece of Anohana. But is that really the reason that Anohana is as sad as it is, or is it something completely different? Many shows that aren't even in this category are able to elicit feelings similar to these kind of shows, like Caesar's death in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure or Yuki's death in Sword Art Online. The number one thing that makes for a sad story is the loss of an interesting and loved character. But in Anohana, we already know Menma is dead. What's interesting about this story in particular is the feelings that come about through the reveal of how Menma actually died. But is the reveal of Menma's death particularly sad? Well, that depends on who you ask. Some people cry over a frog dying and others don't even cry when a close family member dies. It's all up to individual emotion at that point. I think for many people, it can invoke feelings of sadness, but not necessarily make everyone cry. Some people may find that it relates to someone they know in their life or someone they once knew. Some people may go without relating to the event at all and just say, well, that sucks. Menma's death was an unfortunate circumstance, and I'm sure many people agree that a young death is something that's extremely disheartening to many people. But here's what really makes Anohana the saddest. It's Menma's aspirations. Menma once was, like every other character we follow through Anohana, filled with dreams and aspirations for her life. Dreams of growing up with her friends and having meaningful relationships. She even carves into their clubhouse that the Super Peacebusters are friends forever. This statement alone tells us that Menma's life meant a lot to her at a young age. The idea that all of these people are affected by her death, blame themselves, and it comes between their own relationships with each other is what truly makes the series sad. Of course, this is just one dude's opinion. Many others are probably pointing at the melodramatic ending where the characters were crying to induce crying of the viewer. Anohana is unfortunately not free from such problems, but it still succeeds in telling a meaningful, relatable, and complete story in a mere 11 episodes. There's series that can't get that after 24 or even 40 episodes. But why don't we get another opinion up in here? Seppuku, get over here and tell me about Menma's titties.
Wait, what?
I said, tell me about Menma's titties.
They're small?
Yeah, they are, just like the amount of tears left in your body after crying along with the ending.
Okay, fair point, but I think you're missing something extremely huge when it comes to Anohana art.
What did I miss?
It's not just Menma's aspirations that makes the series sad, but it's Menma herself that makes it sad. Throughout the series, we see her clinging to the living world, following Jinta, who is the only one who can see her. She's only able to communicate through him, and it makes it even harder for Jinta to come to terms with her death. Imagine if someone you were close with died, and you and all of your mutual friends were mourning their death, but suddenly they appear and wish to communicate with all of you, but only can through you. Who's it going to affect the most? The one who can see their figure, of course. To Jinta, it's almost like Menma never died because she's always able to be with him, but as soon as someone else is around, she doesn't exist to anyone except Jinta. There's even a point where Jinta asks if Menma wants to move on, and she tells him that she just wants to stay friends forever with the Super Peacebusters, like she wrote in the clubhouse that day. Think about the whole title for a second. We still don't know the name of the flower we saw that day. Does anything about that strike you odd?
They didn't know Menma's cup size?
No. The flower imagery from the opening is extremely important when talking about Menma as a character. Through the early scenes in the opening, you can see the silhouette of a flower that looks extremely similar to her Forget-Me-Not. And you know what else is important about the Forget-Me-Not? I'm loosely connecting things here, but there's a poem by a McGonagall called Forget-Me-Not, where a knight tries to cross a river and drowns while trying to reach a flower for his bride. Loosely speaking, Menma is that knight. The color scheme of her character being primarily white exists for two things: her innocence and her loose relation to this knight. As he died, the knight wanted to hand his bride the forget-me-not flower. As he spoke to his bride Ellen, "Oh heaven! Hard is my lot, my dearest Ellen, forget-me-not." So what was the name of the flower that Super Peace Busters couldn't name? Why, obviously it's a forget-me-not, because that was Men-Mez's biggest fear. She didn't want her friends to forget her after she moved on. That's why after all those attempts of trying to fulfill Men-Mez's wish, the Busters still failed until the very end. She just wanted to be remembered for the rest of their lives as Super Peace Buster until the end. So really, it's everything about Men-Mez that makes this series so damn sad.
Well, at least it's deeper than some melodramatic garbage like Vampire Knight.
You're right though, there's a lot going on with Anohana in 11 episodes, a lot more than most series that go on longer have going for them. It has its moments of melodrama, hell, it has a lot of melodramatic scenes, but I think that's only one aspect of the show. If you dig deep enough, the true sadness throughout this whole series is Men-Mez. Besides Men-Mez's own aspirations though, I also feel like there's one last thing that this series reminds us about that makes it incredibly sad. When you were little, did you ever think about the future? And about what it would bring? I'll tell you, when I was younger, I used to think a lot about what my future would look like. And along with that thought, a certain fear would almost always follow. The fear of losing someone you care about. I would often think about how, when I would be 70 or something years old, I would no longer have my parents around anymore. I was not even sure if I would have the same friends when I am 70 as I do right now, and that generally led me to being scared of being lonely when I would grow up. Anohana especially explores this dilemma. After Men-Mez's death, Jinta and their other friends go separate ways, unable to keep up their relationships and their connection in the wake of losing one of the members of the Super Peace Busters. Not only do they slowly stop talking to each other, but each of the members decide to cope with Men-Mez's death in certain ways. Atsumu generally becomes somewhat of an asshat to his former friends, Naruko decides to get new friends and let her social life distract her from the pain, and Tetsudo decides to travel the world and let fun experience help him to forget about his childhood scars. The future was harsh on this group of children. Not only did Men-Mez's death take a huge toll on the main cast emotionally, but some of them became very hostile towards the other friends, wanting someone to blame for what happened so that can help them with mourning. What happened was tragic, and what used to be a happy group of friends turns into several individuals who are very emotionally scarred, and each of them are unsuccessfully trying to cope with a huge emotional pain. My whole point with this brand is that things such as this, the loss of something precious and the aftermath of tragedy, resulting in a lonely and uncertain future, is something I used to fear a lot when I was a kid, which is something I think a lot of people can relate to, and that makes the whole show so much more emotional and sad.
I want to give a big thank you out to Seppoku for helping me out with this video. He edited 99% of this video together. So if you guys really enjoy what you saw, go check his channel out. He's got Pokemon content, general anime content, and he's playing some horror games right now. So if you guys enjoy that, go check his channel out. I'm sure he'd love to see you guys around. And I'll see you guys soon with another video myself.